and this is Weaponized.
The only thing more dangerous than talking about UFOs for us is not talking about UFOs. If we do interview a guest like you, Dave, if we hadn't been talking about UFOs, we catch nothing but grief about it. Because they assume we're always going to talk about UFOs and only UFOs.
Well, people that really, like to kind of, learn about this, they, of course, they're excited about the UFO topic. So are we, and every conversation of ours leads to UFOs
we'll slip
eventually.
It in there.
Yeah. But, our interests go far and wider than that. But,
yes.
But let's stick on UFOs. I like that. Let's talk about it.
Well, I'd like to talk about your adventure. The two of you guys saw one. I mean, you had never seen one before. I know I've never seen one that I know of as far as I can remember, but you guys had one. So let's hear the story.
Yeah.
Finally, both of us had one. It's a crazy story. I want to hear Dave explain. We both, we saw the same thing, but different things of it really intrigued us. And so I like kind of hearing how Dave experienced it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happened. It was a night I was just visiting, and we were out walking your dog.
Yeah.
On a very beautiful starry night. I don't even think there was a moon in the sky that night. I don't think the stars were so prominent. And I remember watching in the distance, watching the commercial air traffic flying around, and just thinking about what a clear, beautiful night it was, and just saying to Jeremy, this would be a good night to see something. This would be. I'd like to, and.
So we're pretty remote, by the way. So so where we are. Big sky, no light pollution. It was just like one of those beautiful nights, and walking my pup and just kind of really enjoying the night. And then this guy gets sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, you remember that. I don't. I just remember saying I want to see. This would be a great night to see something.
No. This is
called you out.
Foley goes, "Hey man, it's so cool coming up to hang out with the UFO expert. I was kind of hoping I'd see a UFO, just kind of digging at me.
Yeah.
I've never seen one either, never really a machine that I could say that's a UFO.
But within a few moments of asking to see something, I think I was looking and Jeremy goes, "Dave, turn around." And I turn around, and in the distance, there's this bright orangey gold thing kind of pulsing with orange gold light and with some white lights on the front of it, or assuming it's the front, because that's the way it was traveling. And we're looking at it, and it's clearly, and you see the commercial air traffic all around it, and the difference is very stark. And
this was close, first of all. This was close compared to other air traffic.
And it got closer and closer to us, and it sort of traveled around this valley and I think we both were thinking at the same time. I kept thinking, this will be like when I'm in my backyard and I see something and I eventually realize it's just something boring. I kept thinking this is going to get boring as it gets closer.
Did you say anything to each other as you're watching it?
Well, hold on. That was weird. So let's get into that. But I want to, what you kind of missed, what I saw.
Yeah.
So again, he's taking the piss out of me and I'm thinking, motherfucker. And then I'm looking and he's standing there and his back is to it. And from a 45-degree angle, which looked from as far as the distance could be from high up, seemed like it came from space. This thing just shot down at a 45-degree angle, just glowing, right? And then it, boom, hits and levels off. And so that was the first thing, and that's when I was able to say, hey, turn around. Like I already knew this was weird. I thought maybe it was a comet or something. I thought it would end up being super prosaic, because I've never seen bona fide machine UFO, and we were both kind of like, had never seen anything like that. When he turned around, he caught it right after.
As it was level. It stayed on a level, like, I guess what we call a trajectory.
Yeah, and so
from then on.
So our reactions was a really weird thing. But before that, like what was so impressive to me, we all thought, like he and I thought, I'm sure we thought this is going to end up being something normal or a comet or something.
It's going to take an angle and show itself.
Show itself. Holy shit, because first of all, it's over there's mountains on both sides, just right there over the sky. And it was big. And the thing that really struck me, for me, and I know this is maybe different than for Dave, but it was self-luminous. And it was like, you could say it was glowing, it was self-luminous, but it would pulse with this extreme power. That's the thing that really struck me, was the power that it took to do this. And there were 4 pulses. And when it pulsed, it kind of went like, and there was no sonic boom. It was these movements. And seeing it descend in from 45-degree angle and hit down and then move, it was to me, this tremendous power, because you could see it was a machine. It had these big 3 lights that weren't shooting like beams.
Yeah,
They
2
were like,
smaller lights with a larger white light in the middle of it. And they were pulsing too, but at a different tempo than the rest of the craft.
than the body of the craft. And that was the thing to me was, it was almost comical. It was like what you'd imagine drawn in a 1940s comic book. I wanted to see
Retro, kind of retro.
retro.
Yeah.
You drew it, right?
I did draw a picture of it, yeah.
But our reaction was pretty crazy. You know, I practiced the quick draw on my camera. I'm not going to be that UFO guy that doesn't pull out his camera, right? But I'm thinking the whole time I'm sitting there, I literally said out loud, I'm not even going to try to film this.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that and going, in my mind, it just seemed like, that's a weird thing. And then I also, in retrospect, go, it's really weird that I didn't call you out on it right away. But neither of us, except for that one time that Jeremy said, yeah, I'm not going to try and film this. Neither of us spoke for the entire event. And it felt like you were addressing somebody, but it wasn't, you weren't really addressing me. I hadn't said anything.
Yeah.
You were just saying it out loud, like somehow that thought popped into your head. And
maybe it
to
was
not do that.
For me, it was just like, I was so astonished by what I was seeing. I couldn't believe it. You had just made this joke to me.
No, it just seemed so irrational that
what do you make of that? That you say it and then boom, one appears. Is that an invocation that it appeared because you said it? Or
I don't. It seems like it was. It seems almost weirder if it wasn't. You know, that we would just coincidentally discuss this. Two people who were interested but have never seen anything.
And there it is. And how long did it last and what happened at the end?
It was a few minutes.
Yeah.
A few minutes.
Yeah, we watched it. Never pulled out that damn camera of mine.
And as I said, except for that, we didn't say anything until it went away behind the mountains.
Well, hold on. So in my defense, like I am astonished by what I'm seeing. Like I can't believe it that we're actually seeing one because it was so weird right after what he said. In my defense, if I had brought up the iPhone, the darkness of the sky, because it was almost completely dark, there was still a little bit of light, you would not have a great UFO video after that. So in my defense, I was thinking I didn't want to hurt my eyes with the light, so I didn't miss a second of it. But also, we thought it was going to disappear. It seemed so unusual. We thought it would disappear immediately. That motherfucker hung out. After it did those slips, it just kind of kept moving slow.
And then it stayed in one spot, stock still, for an extended period of time.
And then it
when it went behind the
descended.
mountains.
Any other witnesses that in the days that followed? Did
100%.
anybody else talk? Yeah.
Wiley, my dog. My dog saw that. I think my dog summoned the UFO.
I mean, any newspaper accounts, any reports?
Nobody. No. I asked, like I've had people in my area tell me about having pretty astounding sightings. It's a cool area for watching UFOs. People have told me about some of their really astounding sightings. When I was actually editing the Bob Lazar movie, right out on the mountain where I was editing it, there's an actor friend of mine who lives near me, and he was shaken. And he called me, and he had seen something that looked like kind of like a tic tac, just hovering by that mountain with like portholes. The guy was like trembling when he told me. Never told the story. He doesn't want to tell. So he was, so in that area, I don't know.
But here's part of the weirdness: is that response to it makes sense.
Right.
Our response makes no sense.
Right.
That we had, neither one of us had any level of excitement, or adrenaline wasn't rushing.
They're just kind of mesmerized.
Just going, and very calm, very just matter of fact about it, and no emotional response, and even since it, I have no emotional response to it when I think about it.
Before you talk about drawing it, I'll tell you this though. We got home and we built a bonfire, and I said, I went into full investigatory mode. Okay, tell me exactly what you saw. I want to make sure, what did he see compared to me?
And is it the same?
Yeah, it was the same. I mean, he was able to describe the shape of it a little better than me, both by drawing, but also in description. We had, the thing that impressed me most was the sheer amount of raw power that it took to do that without sonic booms. Because remember, I saw it coming at that 45-degree angle and just stop and then move. He had a kind of more personal experience with it. I think what he's saying about the way we reacted, I have to chalk it up to just being astonished.
Yeah, I think it's more than that, because I think our astonishment, we would have had some adrenaline rush. There would have been some excitement, because you watch people's videos of UFOs online, and they're always going, "What the fuck is that?
Yeah, right.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck? What is that?"
Right.
And none of that from us. And even after it was just like when it went behind the mountain, Jeremy just went, "Dude, that was a UFO."
You know, in UFO lore, there are so many cases of people who witness something and then they fumble for their phone or their camera and try to get it. And by the time they get it up there, it's gone. And so you have to make the decision, do I want to see it or do I want to videotape it? Because sometimes the two are juxtaposed.
I felt like there was like that our response was not under our control, and that somehow we were led to just stay calm and pay attention.
Okay, you ask for it, here it is, take a look.
So just look at it, don't get excited, just watch it so you'll remember what you saw. And that was it.
I just didn't want to miss a second of it. That's for me, it just felt like I hear all the things you're saying and it might be right, but I didn't want to miss a second of it. And then the weirdest thing is, I couldn't draw worth shit. The next day, he texts me an image, but tell him about that. That was pretty neat.
Well, yeah, the next day I went home and I got out my iPad and started trying to draw it, and I opened up an app that I'd never opened up before, a drawing app, and immediately found basically every tool I needed to draw it, how to shade it. Was able to get the exact color that I wanted. Was able to find an app that gave me these sort of lens flare lighting effects for the front lights immediately. Everything immediately. Like it took about 15 minutes for me with no knowledge.
Image. It's a cool image.
With no knowledge of the app and the fact that I have zero ability to draw. I cannot draw anything. But I was able to even get the perspective of the shape of it. This kind of weird, kind of slightly triangular. It was like almost like a bread roll, but slightly triangular kind of shape to it. And I was able to draw that with perspective, in the accurate perspective, so that it diminished as it went, as the shape of it goes away from the front. And again, 15 minutes, I was done. And at that point, I just sort of went, "Oh, don't do any more."
You knew you were done.
Yeah, don't do any more. And I sent it to Jeremy as soon as I finished it. And
your reaction?
Is that it?
It's what we saw. First of all, I was like, "You're a fucking great artist. How'd you do that?" Like, I wanted to know, how did he do that? But yeah, it is what we saw. And what's weird is, again, the thing that sticks with me, it was almost like a comic version of what a UFO should look like. It looked like a steampunk thing in a way. It was a machine, and it did things that I know shouldn't have happened. It should not have been able to descend that fast, to move into that lateral line, to pulse with that glow and slip like this. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't ever want to tell this story. UFO guy sees a UFO, come on.
Yeah,
but like,
I felt, part of me was going, "Oh, fuck."
Now I have to tell people.
And so it's much more pure to believe it just on the evidence, as opposed to having actually had an experience.
Right.
So I was going, "Oh, all right."
Now you done did it. You saw a UFO.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I make no claims of understanding anything about this. I don't know where it was from, what it was operating. All I know is that we do not have that tech. That was so obvious to me at that moment.
And just the weirdness that it felt like it was being presented to us.
It was like a display, a performance for your benefit.
Because it circled the valley.
Yeah.
And it didn't go past us. It got to where we were and hung there for quite a while,
I don't know what to say, man. It was so fucking weird. I don't know.
Be interesting. Well, we'll put the image out on this episode of Weaponized, and hopefully our listeners, our audience, can react, or maybe some of them have seen something similar, because I've never seen an image like that, what you guys showed me.
Yeah,
I've never even heard of a UFO shaped like that. That's the other thing. I wanted a disc. I wanted a cylinder. I wanted to see something. Mothership.
I remember deciding I put it up on Twitter and had spent an evening just sort of discussing it with whoever wanted to discuss it. Answered whatever questions people asked. But I remember somebody said, "Well, it sounds to me like what you saw was the illuminated wheel well of a jet craft going overhead. Sometimes it lights up just the underside of the wing. So you're probably just seeing the underside of the
Yeah, a slow flying airplane that was right there.
I am
Yeah.
positive this was not a bird.
Yeah.
It was not
Yeah.
a typical plane.
Yeah.
We saw all that stuff. We see it all the time out there.
And it would have been pretty noisy if it was close enough that we and it would have
Hovering.
been, yeah, this thing's flying over orange groves at that height. I mean,
that was the eerie thing, was the absolute silence. So the thing was obviously larger than, so it's at least the size of a big school bus. I mean, that you could see, you could actually physically see the texture. You could see the craft itself. It wasn't like something like, so far away you couldn't make that
A
out.
blob
No.
of light. No.
But it wasn't close
you
enough.
You could almost sense the texture of the skin of it.
Totally, and that color, that glow. I thought maybe it would explode a few times. It was really bizarre, man.
That's a
I
great
don't know what to
story.
make of it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what our audience says. See if anybody comes up with
Yeah.
similar sightings from other
Yeah.
parts of the world.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
But it's just that the condescension of people think, oh, I can explain this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, why would you? why would you think that when it
guess
doesn't
once-
match any element of what I just told you? But you'll go to like that is your explanation.